Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another prediction show. And JP's reeled me in after last week. He won by 10 points to 7. I lead by
Who's disappointed?
117 points to 112. So only 5 points in it. We decided in terms of the prediction show scores, we're only going to count the scores after 90 minutes, basically. So whatever the score is after 90 minutes will count as a score, whether you get 3 points, 1 point, or 0 points. JP, back to the league, obviously, this week, and big game. They're all big games. But at Weavers Park, Drogheda United take on Sligo Rovers. And, Sligo will be going into this game smarting, whereas Drogheda will be going into this game full of confidence, having won 9-0 against Wilton, which I shouldn't be laughing really, but it's a ridiculous scoreline. I'm laughing a bit because Kevin Doherty was saying that I shouldn't be saying this really, he said, but we probably should have had a few more goals, but you know what I
Must have been
mean? But
Derry. I think it was a bit like Derry went to Blarney and won 12-1 at 12 years on.
But it's always like I know, say in youth football, junior football, and a team gets 7 or 8 goals, you always miss chances as well. You know what I mean? So like you're kind of nearly count. He's totting up all the chances they had as goals almost. But no, it was still a good win. You can only go out and do what you can do against these teams, and I am under the belief that you'd be as ruthless as you possibly can be. Like, I honestly, that's my opinion. I don't like this idea of, oh, they won 9-0, they should have kept it to 4 or 5. No, you go out and you be as ruthless as you possibly can be. And they've got goals in their team now. JP, obviously, as mentioned on the previous show, that James Taylor's the top scorer now with 7 goals. A couple of penalties in there, but still they've got Pirot now starting to get 1 or 2 goals. Young striker who's at the under 19s. He's top scorer for the under 19s. Boznaki is a player that I've liked, and he scored a hat trick. You've the likes of Adam Foley. Interesting one for Sligo to go into, actually, because obviously a cup defeat. They'll be disappointed with that. They're one of the teams I was looking at saying these could easily make a final. So, but they're still very much in the European race. They'll be looking at Ellis Chapman, who's been fantastic this season. He's played midfield. He's played as a false nine, so to speak. He's played at a nine as well, as a nine, I should say, and he scored 9 goals for Sligo Rovers this season as well. Very good player. But this is going to be an interesting game. Will I go first? I might as well go first. So, it's important for Sligo, I think, to go and get something out of the game, and I think they'll have to dig deep in this one. A win for Drogheda would really throw the cat amongst the pigeons, in my opinion. Looking at the other fixtures too, but I'm going to go for a 1-all draw.
Hi, I think this is a difficult game, really for like we know Sligo are in a run of 5 wins in their last 6 games. I think the only blemish is the controversial defeat away at Pats, in that run, and they were in front in that game, um, and coming off the back of a defeat at home to UCD in the FAI Cup, where they would have went into the game confident that they would be in the quarter final of the cup, and I wouldn't look. I'm not for a minute suggesting that they were going in there thinking they had to do is show up, but it was really disappointing that for them that they ended up losing. Um, they probably look at UCD in a similar way that we look at Derry. You see, or sorry, we look at Sligo. You just roll your eyes whenever you see that you've Sligo coming up. So yeah, as you said, like James Taylor's or DJT as he's been nicknamed at Drogheda, is starting to score goals. You said he's only in from July and he's our top goal scorer already. Like so, and as I touched on the review show, that he could be key for Drogheda in the running. Um, and I think he could be really key in this game as well. If you it just shows the kind of guy you get the ball in them and he'll score goals. And you mentioned the other players there, like Sapiro and Foley. Like Foley's been about the league, he knows what it's about. So they've a good good experience in the up top as well.
Mm.
Um, you've gone 1-1. I think this could be a really good game. I think with Dundalk not playing the Sunday, Drogheda will see this as an opportunity to go above Dundalk. And I think it'll be tight, but I think Drogheda might just sneak it 2-1.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned Dundalk there, and although they're not playing till Sunday, I'll get into this one next. Oriel Park and St Patrick's Athletic, and I have to say though, from a Dundalk point of view, if you're playing Pats at the moment, you would take them in between surely the two European games, Istanbul.
Yeah, well, I've just seen a report online that some
Mm.
Pats have asked for it to be postponed, and Dundalk have said no, and it's
I think
apparently.
that's fair enough,
I
personally.
think it's fair
You're
enough
not
as well.
obliged to do it, like so.
I think it's fair enough.
Mm.
I think the FAI do a lot of work in terms of bringing the European teams, their fixtures get brought forward in the April and May. They give them that chance to get through the first couple of rounds. Once you get through beyond that, I think it's like where do we stop postponing matches basically? Because
Mm.
if they postpone this game, they're going to have to play it later in the season.
And what if
Um,
Pats say did
what
get
if
the
Pat
Champions
get
League?
through to the groups?
Mm.
When are they going to play it? So it's there. You have to take look. I know Pats fans aren't going to be happy probably with me saying this, but that's what they say about success. It brings more games, and I know they're playing on Thursday night in Tala, and then they're flying probably to Turkey on Monday or Sunday night. But if they somehow manage to get through against the Istanbul team, where do they fit this game in then later in the season? Because they're going to have to play three games in the 1 week at some point in the season. So just play it, get it over done with, and then go and see what you can do in Turkey.
Mm.
But as you say, if you're Dundalk and you're scrapping for your life, you're going to try and take every kind of advantage you can get. And you're not obliged to postpone them, as I said. The FAI are working with the European clubs at the start of the season where they schedule them to play one another at a certain point in the season, but then that gets brought forward to April and May and June or whatever. So they do help in that way, but once you get beyond the second round, you
Mm.
sort of have to just go with it and see what
Dundalk
happens.
JP have to be looking at this as a great opportunity because when Pats played their last in the middle of the two European games against Galway, they had only two starters that played in the two European games, so they made 9 changes.
Yeah,
If that happens again, Dundalk have to be rubbing their hands. Now, I don't know, say if Pats lose 2-0 in the first leg at home, does that change Kenny's outlook and the type of team he
mm,
picks? Maybe,
mm.
I don't know. Maybe the better result for Pats in Tala, the better for Dundalk, maybe. But it
Yeah,
is an opportunity for Dundalk at home to at least a mentally tuned Pats team that might be a little bit elsewhere, like, you know.
yeah. Especially if they come out of Tala with a good result,
Mm.
as it's still in the tie. So a lot of them players could be thinking, well, we've a good chance here out in Istanbul, and Kenny may be thinking the same.
Not only that, Garrett Kelleher would be thinking the same.
Yeah, hey, exactly.
Talk about
And
6 million or something if you get through.
I'm just wondering, is Dundalk's refusal to maybe put this game off coming from Don Daly? You know,
Well, I'd
the
say it is, but to be honest with you, I think if this was Shamrock Rovers, he'd do the same thing, if I'm honest with
oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you try and
Yeah.
take every advantage
Mm.
you can, like especially when you need the points and
Mm.
don't say depending on the result in Drogheda on Friday night, Dundalk could be going on this bottom of the table, so they would see it as a really good opportunity to get them 3 points back. So, um, I'm going to base this on that it goes ahead on Sunday.
Mm.
Uh, Some Pats have one eye on Turkey, and I'm going to say 1-0 Dundalk.
Snap. Yeah, I think it's likely Pats will probably make a load of changes again. And you'd like to think, from a Dundalk point of view, you'd like to think they'd have a bit more edge and a bit more hunger. So for that reason, yeah, I agree as well. I think they might nick it 1-0. Now, Shelburne and Bows at Tolka Park, and massive game for both clubs. Obviously, I've spoken how Bohemians tend to play better generally in Dublin derbies, and one of their best performances this season, if not their best performance this season, came at Tolka Park in a 2-1 win in one of Alan Reynolds' first games in charge, actually. But Shelbourne, they've been stuttering, and even in the game against Galway in the cup, they didn't win the actual game. If that was a league game, hypothetically, it ends in a draw, doesn't it? So, um, it's an interesting game. It feels like it's easy to say Shelburne will win the game, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as that. I honestly don't. I think Bowes have fire in these derbies, and that's something that would really annoy me, by the way, if I was a Bowes fan. Honestly, Why
Yeah,
you have
no,
fire when you play these games and then you go and play, say, Kerry FC or whoever it is, you're 2-0 up against Waterford, you play Dundalk at home or away and you lose, or whatever it is, and you're struggling, but they, I know they've 2 games in hand, Bows, but they still need to get points. They need to get points badly. Shelbourne, on the other hand, a win would be a massive boost. A draw or defeat would ask a few questions again, because there'd be another few games without obviously winning. The other point to make about Shelburne is obviously Jarvis is gone. He's top scorer, but their second top scorer, Sean Boyd, on 7 goals. Well, he's now their top scorer, but you know what I mean. On
yeah.
7 goals, is still injured. So I wonder if Aidan O'Brien starts in this game. Now, he looked quite sharp against Galway, but has he got 90 minutes in him? I don't know. I have no idea. But he looked sharp and he got into good areas, as you mentioned, for the goal and that. Might be tempted to play him. Will you go with John Martin? I don't know. Um, 2-1 Shells.
If you're Damien Duff, you're through. You're probably thinking, you know what, we'll throw him in because Bows are probably not expecting us to put him in. Like they're probably thinking, no, he's only come in. They're probably going to prepare for John Martin. So if Damien Duff plays a trump card and puts him in from the start, and then all of a sudden Bowes maybe becomes flustered and think, well, what do we do with him? If you can get 60 minutes out, if Damien Duff thinks he can get 60 minutes out of him, they get a goal and get away. He may well do it. He may well go with the tried and tested of John Martin. I- It's how much are they going to miss Paul Jarvis in the service that they can provide no matter who the front man is. Like, it was a really good goal they scored
Even without
against.
Boyd, JP, they've a hesitancy to cross the ball into the box when it's
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So it'll be, look, as you said, Bows get up for it, don't they? In the Dublin derbies, and one thing they'll not want the Shelburne one in the league. So they'll see this as an opportunity to they get one over them and potentially
I know
dent
the
that.
Bows fans would love to see Shelburne win the league.
They potentially give one over them and dent that sort of chance there, even though, but they both scraped through in the cup on penalties, and I'm just looking at their form going in this game. It's very, very similar. 2 draws, one defeat in the league, both scraping through in penalties. Um, and in the cup, so it's kind of anybody. It's a hard one to call, isn't it? I think Shelburne will sneak it 1-0.
Yeah. At the RSC on Friday, Waterford FC take on Derry City, and there's no doubt that Waterford will be smarting from that cup defeat. But they're 6 points behind Derry in the league, so they'll be going into this game thinking if we can win, suddenly we're 3 points behind Derry City. They also have a horrendous record against Derry City this season, been beaten and well beaten, really, 3 times. And I don't know, sometimes when you play a team like that, you think to yourself, from a Derry point of view, you kind of think to yourself, we're bound to drop points surely against these at some point. But
Mm.
it's a tough one. Again, it is a tough one because that the head to head can come into talk. Like, I mean, looking at it there you've won 3-0, 3-0, and 2-0. So they've scored like 8 goals and haven't conceded against Waterford, who are good going forward. But it's an interesting game. We talked about how Derry, when they dropped points at home to Dundalk, that you felt was very important, that they probably go and get 6 points from the Waterford and I think Galway away games. But having drawn at home to Dundalk, they will feel like it's imperative that they go to Waterford and get a result. And there might be something at the back of their head thinking, you never know, Bulls could nick something at Tolka Park as well, as we know.
Yeah, like I think Derry will probably approach this similarly how they've approached the other games
Mm.
against Waterford. It's whether Waterford approach it in a similar way they have done because they've been very open against Derry, which has suited Derry. Um, Derry,
I
like you
can't see
said,
Waterford playing any other way, though, can you? Or
they
trying
went
to
to.
play any other way, I should say.
I don't know. I don't know. Like you would like to like they've, as you touched on there, they've conceded 8 goals and not scored against Derry this season and lost all 3 games. Um, and then on the other side, they see that if they get the one, they're only 3 points, and they are good going forward, Waterford. But I think, man for man, Derry have better players, and when Derry turn the ball over, they can pick Waterford off. And um, look, Derry will probably just want to do what they did down in Turner's Cross and be professional and get the job done and get back up the road with 3 points. It's what they did in the previous game in the RSC was they weren't exactly free flowing like they had been in the
Mm.
two games in the Brandywell. They were professional about their business, and I think that's what they'll do in this game too. And I'm going to go with form, and I'm going to say 2-0 Derry.
Yeah, I'll go similar, but Waterford will nick a goal, I think, in this one. 2-1 Derry City for me. On Sunday, then, Shamrock Rovers and Galway United. And this could be a similar situation to the one we talked about, St. Patrick's Athletic, to be honest, in Dundalk. It's a Tallaght Stadium. Some would argue that Shamrock Rovers is a better squad than St. Patrick's Athletic. But if Shamrock Rovers come away from the tie in Greece with a half decent result, they're going to be ringing the changes, there's no doubt for this game. They're obviously through to the Conference League, definitely. They have a chance to get through to the Europa League as well. And, Galway, I've seen them very, very closely in the last couple of games, and they'll see this as an opportunity as well. We've seen how Drogheda went to Tallaght recently and obviously got a point. So, yeah, it's. I don't know because a big loss, I think, at the moment, even though they got through the last round there in the Europa League. Kenny's still a big loss for them at the moment, obviously with his goals and his movement. I don't think he's going to be back for another week or two also. So it's interesting to see how they'll set up for this game. But in terms of getting back into some form of a title race, I keep saying they've a glimmer, and they did have an opportunity against Drogheda to do that, having seen Shells and Derry drop points. That's when Shamrock Rovers need to be winning now, and they failed
Mm.
to do that. If they drop points here, I mean, it has to be it, surely. Like, you know what I mean? There has to be no chance they get into a title race, and now they're looking at Europe, as in Europe throughout the league. I think Galway might come and annoy the crap out of them in this game, to be honest with you. And I can see them working hard off the ball and be very dogged, and they could nick a goal at some point. Wouldn't be shocked, by the way, if Galway go to Tallaght and win, but I'll chicken out and go for 1-1.
I well the last game in Tallaght between the two, it finished 1-0. Um, Galway led in that game. I think very
Stephen
similar,
Walsh, wasn't it?
yeah, very similar circumstances to how they
Mm,
took the lead in the Brandywell against Derry. Again, I think I agree with you. It all depends on their result in Greece. In terms of his lineup. Um, they're in a different situation to Pats is where Pats have to win.
mm,
They progress in Europe,
mm,
where Rovers know that no matter what happens, they're going to be in the group phase of the Conference League
mm,
at the very minimum. It would be great for them if they can qualify for the Europa League. Look, I know there's not much monetary value in the difference of the competitions, but it's the quality of teams that you're going to come up against. Um, yeah, you're going to come up against a better standard, but that's what you play football for. That's why you get into Europe. You want to come up against the teams in the better standard, test yourself. And the other side of it, you go into the Conference League and you come up against you possibly come up against teams that are going to be at your level, that you can maybe nick a win here and there, against them. Um, so it'll be an interesting one. I think if Derry and Shelburne were to say both drop points on Friday, Stephen Bradley may look at this game and then look at the European game and think, this is an opportunity, especially with two games in hand. So if Derry and Shelburne say go out and get 3 points, or one of them goes and get 3 points, Bradley may just look and keep his eye on Europe. But I think the most important thing for Shamrock Rovers, Keith, is they've got this far in Europe. The most important thing for them is to make sure they get into Europe again next year via the league. And they do that, they guarantee that they have to get into third. So they have to start winning regardless, whether it's to get themselves into a league title or get themselves in the European race. I think Galway will make it difficult for them. They always make it difficult for everybody. You say they'll know the crap out of them. Um, I'm going to base and another thing we have to think of too as well is if Rovers get in the Europa League, they're going to play 8 games in the group phase as opposed to 6 in the Conference League. So that takes them on the January, so they're not really going to get proper pre-season. So look, but I think I'm going to say Shamrock Rovers they nick us 1-0.
Very good. And I've done a European show, but just for the purposes as usual for the predictions, we'll throw in our European predictions for Pats in Istanbul, Atala. I've gone 1-0 Istanbul, to be honest. And I don't know what does for the second leg. I
You want to
think
have a go at pronouncing our name?
no. Do you want to go actually?
Neither do I.
No way. Not a chance in hell, by the way. Um, so I've gone for 1-0. I don't know what that does for the second leg. It probably makes it very difficult, but 1-0 Istanbul, and Shamrock Rovers away to Pauk, 2-0 Pauk. So not as optimistic this time. I'm not JP, unfortunately.
I'm going to go 2-0 Istanbul, and I'm going to go 2-0 Pauk.
Right.
But let's not forget, Bows played Pauk a couple of years ago in the Europa League and gave him a good game. I think they gave him a good game, didn't they? And
Beat them 2-1 at the Aviva, and they lost 2-0 away. And they had a chance right at the death to make it 2-1.
And I think Shamrock Rovers potentially have a better squad than, well, they drew.
I think Pauk might do this time as well, but that's another story.
Because it's a couple of years away, like so. But I'm going to stick with my original prediction and go 2-0 Pauk.
Brilliant. All right, guys at home, let us know what you think in the comments. As usual, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And once again, thanks for JP for coming on. Thank you, JP.
Cheers.